Good evening, welcome to Word Now at 4. I am Wisdom Onisi. First, the headlines. Reps finally grant Tinubu's request extend 2023 budget. ANC concites 12 portfolios as South Africa's Ramaphosa names 32 ministers. UK government warns of Russian interference in general election. And on sport, Man United agreed deal with Newcastle for Dan Ashworth. Now the news in details. The House of Representatives granted President Bola Tinubu's request by extending the capital component of the 2023 Appropriation Act and the Supplementary Appropriation Act until 31st of December. Tinubu's request was granted after the House entered a closed-door session and opposition from some lawmakers. Speaker Tajuddin Abbas had read a letter containing Tinubu's request to the lawmakers during the plenary session. In the letter read by Tajuddin, Tinubu said the extension would allow his administration to implement the two budgets fully. The request involves extending lives of 1.8 trillion naira budget, 2023 budget, I beg your pardon, and 2.17 trillion naira in 2023 supplementary budget. The 27.5 trillion naira 2024 budget is also running concurrently with them. Away from that, Justice James Omotoshol of the Federal High Court in Abuja on Monday dismissed the fundamental human rights suit filed by the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, against federal government. Kanu sued the Attorney General of the Federation and the Department of State Service for 1 billion naira in damages for alleged rights violation. The IPOP leader in suit claimed that the DSS and its Director General violated his right to a fair hearing by allegedly preventing his lawyers from having unhindered interactions with him while he was being detained in preparation for his defense in his criminal trial. Justice Omotoshol, while delivering a judgment on the suit, had that Kanu failed to provide credible evidence to sustain his claims that his interactions with his lawyers were interfered with, that he was detained unhindered access to his lawyers, and that DSS officials ever dropped his conversations with lawyers, which constituted a breach of his right to a fair hearing. Let's have you know that the Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Akin Abayomi, has disclosed that 25 cases of severe gastroenteritis confirmed to be caused by cholera were reported by Kirikiri Medium Security Prison. The development was against the claim by the Nigerian Correctional Service that the custodial centers nationwide were free of cholera. The NCOS spokesperson Abubakar Umar stated that the routine hygienic measures put in place in the correctional centers had helped to keep cholera out. However, in a statement on Sunday signed by the Director of Public Affairs, Lagos State Ministry of Health, Tombusun Ogunbawo, the commissioner reported a small outbreak of 25 cases of severe gastroenteritis confirmed to be caused by cholera. He said urgent medical and environmental issues had been implemented successfully. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention also recorded 118 suspected cholera cases in Katsina State. Away from that, Director of Public Relations and Information of Nigeria Air Force, Edward Gabuet, has debunked reports on social media that NAF, that is NAV, helicopter had crashed in Kaduna earlier today. In a statement released, NAV said no helicopter crash occurred. Instead, a NAV unmanned aerial vehicle experienced a mishap after takeoff for a mission at a location near Rumjimi village and about 15 kilometers from base. According to the statement, there were no casualties on board or on ground, noting that preliminary investigation had since commenced to ascertain what may have caused the mishap. Nigerians can be rest assured that the minor setback will not in any way impinge in ongoing operations. When we return, news from other parts of Africa. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now news from other parts of West Africa. The African National Congress ANC has conceded 12 portfolios to other parties in the new coalition government of President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa. Ramaphosa named 32 ministers, giving 20 portfolios to members of the ANC, who usually had all the portfolios when the party had total control, and leaving 12 to the other coalition parties in the government. It is the first time that the ANC would be sharing cabinet offices with other parties since the beginning of the post-apartheid democracy in 1994. The new order became inevitable after the ANC lost its outright parliamentary majority in the May 2019 general election and had to rely on some other parties, majorly the Democratic Alliance (DA), for the Parliament of South Africa to get President Ramaphosa re-elected. We have that fighters from Sudan notorious paramilitary group looted homes and shops and took over the main hospital in a central city, forcing tens of thousands to flee, residents said, as a new front opened in a 14-month war that has pushed the African country to the brink of famine. The paramilitary Rapid Support Forces began its offensive against Sudan's military in Semna province earlier this week, attacking the village of Jebel Moya before moving to the provincial capital of Singa, where fresh battles have erupted. The fighting forced about 57,000 people to flee their homes, according to the United Nations. RSF fighters in pickup trucks mounting automatic rifles rampage through Singal, about 350 kilometers southeast of the capital, Khartoum, over the weekend, according to residents and a local rights group. They looted houses, shops in a local market and took over the city's main hospital. We move to other parts of the world after this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back to other parts of the world. Hungary takes over the EU's rotating presidencies on Monday, promising to be an honest broker despite widespread concern over what critics see as an authoritarian Russian-friendly government. Nationalist Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who had run the Central European country since 2010, aiming to transform it into an illiberal democracy, frequently clashes with Brazil over rule of law and human rights issues. He is also the only EU leader who has maintained ties with Russia despite its invasion of Ukraine. I beg your pardon. He has refused to send arms to Kyiv and repeatedly slammed sanctions against Moscow over the war, Last year, the European Parliament adopted a non-binding resolution highlighting Hungary's backsliding on democratic values and questioning how it could credibly assume the bloc's 6-month presidency. Away from that, Britain's Deputy Prime Minister warned on Sunday that the country's upcoming general election faces threats from hostile actors, such as Russia seeking to influence the UK's democratic process. The country will go to the poll on Thursday in an election expected to oust the governing right-wing Conservatives and put the opposition Labour Party in power. His comment came after the Australian Broadcasting Corporation reported that it had uncovered 5 social media handles spreading the same pro-Kremlin talking points. Away from that, 20 detainees, some accused of terrorism, staged a prison break in Pakistan-administered Kashmir on Sunday, officials told newsmen, adding that one was killed in the crossfire during the escape. The inmate had a revolver that had used to hold a central hostage, said Bada Munir, an official with the Regional Ministry of Interior. The incident took place at the Punch District Jail in Rawalakot City, about 110 kilometers south of the Muzaffarabad, the capital of Pakistan-administered Kashmir. In total, 20 people escaped from the prison. One was killed in the crossfire, while 19 others remain at large. The Inspector General of Kashmir Prisons, Wahid Ali Galani, told newsmen. Up next is business. Please stay with us.
Oh, Malayi.
Welcome back now to business news. A major policy of President Tinubu's administration is the removal of the fuel subsidy, driven by the rationale that Nigeria could no longer sustain the financial burden of subsidizing petroleum products. However, the immediate consequence of subsidy removal was increase in fuel prices, leading to a rise in the cost of living. This has affected the budgets of many workers, businesses, and also impacted daily transportation in the country. For Hillstv, correspondent Wisdom Onisi has been tracking the prevailing state of the cost of living and businesses in Nigeria. Micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises are businesses categorized by their size, typically based on the numbers of employees, annual revenue, or assets. They play a crucial role in economics worldwide, contributing significantly to employment, innovation, and economic growth. There are over 39 million SMEs in Nigeria as at 2020, accounting about 48% of the country's GDP. However, businesses in Nigeria are struggling to survive because of the removal of subsidy by President Tinubu administration.
The business we are doing now, we are just doing it without no profit because the price is too much.
Shabina, they asked that question.
We want the government to do something about it because many people are hungry. Even as we are doing this business, now you will see some people, they will just come, they need help. Which kind of help they need? They will tell you that they are hungry.
High fuel prices have resulted to food inflation, making it increasingly difficult for many Nigerians to afford basic necessities.
See the high cost of fuel, so people transporting. So sometimes, if they're people working inside town here, they pay them 30,000, 50,000. When you finish your transportation from where you're coming from to work, you see that you end in the month spending the whole money. Some people like it, but they'll say, man, my salary cannot give me. For things to come down now, I think the only thing is if the cost of transportation is reduced, things will come down the sky without no struggle.
In response to these economic pressures, the Nigerian Labour Congress has proposed a living minimum wage to the Nigerian government and is currently awaiting President Tinubu's acceptance after concluding his negotiations. Several previous negotiations on the wage ended in stalemates and multiple rounds of industrial strikes. The constitution of a tripartite committee did not also arrive at a resolution with government at the three ties. The organized private sector and labor banding different conflicting figures as pay for workers.
The inflation of the dollar is too terrible this time around. The dollar is supposed to be just like the naira. The naira is supposed to be like the dollar. You understand? But the inflation is too critical this time around, and government must do something about it because we are now in a terrible situation.
So they have to do something about it, so that we too we can sell and get profits, so that we can survive.
You see, if possibly we can be producing this in here, because I think we have some rubber trees here. I think the cost would be lesser if government could put effort and put effort in production. We can do that.
For now, the cost of living and of doing business for most Nigerians are grappling in hardship. For Hillstv, Wisdom Onisi in Abuja, Micro. Away from that, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Cardoso, has called for more regional collaboration to strengthen financial stability and growth in the West African region. The governor made the call at the 10th meeting of the College of Supervisors for Non-Bank Financial Institutions in Abuja on Monday. The event, hosted by the West Africa Monetary Institute, gathered regulators, policymakers, and financial experts from across the region to discuss critical issues facing the non-bank financial sector in West Africa. In his address, Cardoso underscored the importance of regional collaboration in strengthening financial stability and promoting economic growth within the West African Monetary Zone. The Cairo meeting, attended by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and EU Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen, culminated in the signing of the deals worth billions of dollars. The conference comes on the back of a $7.9 billion fund package agreed in March to support the North African country battle an economic crisis made worse by rising debt, inflation, and currency shortages. A series of small and medium-term loans constitute the large majority of the package. In exchange, Cairo must set up energy exports to Europe and action on irregular migrants. The EU has agreed similar deals with Tunisia, Mauritania, and Libya. With huge natural gas deposits, the European Union sees Egypt as a key player in its effort to replace Russian energy. Still to come is sport. Please stay with us.
This is Hillstv. Quality broadcasting is what we'll bring to you. Now we be this
Poker.
Welcome back now to Sport News. Manchester United are set to appoint Dan Ashworth as their new sporting director after reaching a deal with Newcastle United. The 53-year-old will begin a new role at Old Trafford with immediate effect. Initially, Newcastle demanded a €20 million compensation for Ashworth, but a compromise has now been reached with the Red Devils paying a fraction of that fee. The deal also helped Newcastle comply with profitability and sustainability rules this month. Ashworth has been on gardening leave at Newcastle since February. Away from that, another Chelsea player, Lewis Hall, has left the Blues to join Premier League rivals Newcastle United on a permanent transfer. The Premier League West London club disclosed this in a statement through their website on Monday morning. This is coming less than 24 hours after Chelsea announced the departure of Omari Hutchinson. Recall that Hutchinson had left Chelsea on a permanent transfer to join Ipswich Town. Away from that, Arina Sabalenka has withdrawn from Web London with a shoulder injury. The Belarusian, 26 years, had retired from a match at the Berlin Open last week with the problem and has not been able to recover in time. Sabalenka practiced at Aldranji Park earlier on Monday, but left after about 15 minutes and appeared to be in pain. The Australian Open champion was due to play American Emina Bacchus in the second match on court, one on the opening day of the tournament. Sabalenka posted on social media that she was heartbroken to have to pull out. And that's your sport news. Onward now at 4. We move to the rest of the news after this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back now to the rest of the news. Mauritanian incumbent President Mohamed Ould Cheikh El Ghazouani has comfortably won re-election, receiving 56.12% of the vote in the first round of the presidential poll, the Independent National Electoral Commission said on Monday. Ghazouani placed well ahead of his main rival, anti-slavery activist Biram Da Abed, who won 22.10% and said Sunday he would not recognize the results of Seni. And that's what now at 4. But before we go, here are the headlines again. We told you that reps finally grant Tinubu's request, extend 2023 budget. We told you that ANC consigned 12 portfolios as South Africa's Ramaphosa named 32 ministers. We also brought to you that UK government warns of Russian interference in general election. And on sport, we told you that Man United agreed deal with Newcastle for Dan Ashworth. Remember to visit us on Facebook at Hillstv Abuja, Instagram at Hillstv Abuja, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Hillstv. I am Wisdom Onyisi. Thanks for watching.